Have you ever thought about what kind of Halloween monster you would want to be if you could be one? Ooh. To be fair, I think I would want to be like a ghost. I think a ghost is always pretty simple. I know there's a lot of different kinds of ghosts. You know, there's banshees, there's specters, there's phantoms, and various other things. So I think that's what's really cool about ghosts. I think being a ghost would be pretty cool. I don't know if I want to be a vampire. Vampires are pretty neat, but also like most of the time they can't go out in the sun, except for in certain worlds where you can sparkle and stuff. So I think I'm gonna lock in being a ghost. Hey everybody, welcome to a good old-fashioned That Manga Dude video. That was a weird start. I don't know, I usually don't start like that. Whatever, I am feeling a little funky, but we are here for an FVI. This is the first volume impressions. This is where I talk about new volume ones that have come out in the past month or the past couple of months. I don't usually go this far back, but you'll see what I mean when I show off what we're going to talk about today. But I do a more full review. I talk about the characters, the story, the art, give you the people who worked on it, and then give you my full opinions on it versus a reading log where I typically just give a short little shindig about how I felt about a specific volume. So yeah. A lot of great stuff is coming out. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to pick up the guy she was interested in. Wasn't a guy at all, at least within time to make this video. So unfortunately, it's not going to be in this one, even though I really wanted it to be in this video. But that's okay. I'll probably read it soon, and hopefully it will be in the reading log for October. But what I did get to read was super awesome. A lot of great works. Only 2 of them are truly spooky, to be completely honest. So yeah, or at least like horror-based kind of. You'll see what I mean when I get to it. But yeah, really excited you're here. Let's get started with the video right now. Okay, so our first manga that I'm going to be talking about, this volume 1, or this series, originally started in Hakusensha's Hanato Yume back in November of 2022 and is currently still releasing. This is from Giulietta Suzuki and released in English in 2024, October. This is Otaku Vampires Love Bite. So let's talk about this cover and spine really quick. Yeah, it's got a really nice cover. I actually kind of like it. It's really simple. It has the main character and one of the other main characters is going to be throughout the series. A decent spine. It does fall into the Shojo beat classic white spine. But to be fair, I think it looks pretty decent across the board. Now, in terms of people who worked on this, we have translation from Tomo Kimura, touch-up art and lettering from Gianni Lee, design from Adam Grano, and editor is Pancha Diaz. So, let's get started talking about this. We're going to talk about the characters, which I'm only going to talk about one character because he is important, but she is the star of the show here on the front. Her name is Hina Arukado, which, I mean, if you couldn't tell, her name is a play on Alucard. So she's a vampire girl who's a total otaku. She refuses to suck blood from humans and is a total shut-in, much to the chagrin of her father. She's actually a really funny character throughout this entire volume. I really like her. She's just a very likable character from start to finish. She's very silly, very much just deep into the lore of this series called Vampire Cross, which I'll talk about during the story. But overall, I think I really like her. She's just a very funny character across the board, like I mentioned already, and I think you'll come to like her if you tend to like Shojo series or anything from Giulietta Suzuki. I think you're gonna like Hina a lot. Now, in terms of the story, so like I mentioned, Hina is addicted to Vampire Cross. So that's a really popular anime within this world, and she's been a shut-in ever since. So her father really wants her to become more of a full-fledged vampire, find people and actually suck their blood, but Hina's totally okay with just taking blood bags and sucking blood from that, and just enjoying her anime, and especially the character Mao. And then when she eventually moves out and lives on her own, she lives across, like not across the way, but next to, and is neighbors with this guy right here, who happens to look a lot like the main character, that one character named Mao. So it is the start of their budding friendship and possibly relationship. I guess we'll have to see. But yeah, overall, I think the story has some pretty good beats across the board. I think the pacing is very solid. The writing's great. A lot of really funny moments and actually some pretty serious moments as well. Wasn't expecting that, to be completely honest. I thought this was going to be a full comedy. But yeah, there was actually a pretty decent amount of action scenes that I think fit well within the story, and I think the series just flows really well too. I think the story is just very good because of that. And now going into the art, I actually really like the art. Something that prevented me from reading or stopping me from reading Kami-sama Kiss, which is another series by Giulietta Suzuki, is that I really didn't like the art. At least what I saw for like the first couple volumes. But after reading this, it kind of makes me want to try it out. I like the art quite a bit. The character designs are very like very strong. I like him a lot of like just relatable characters across the board in terms of designs, a lot of great posing, a lot of great facial expressions, some very good backgrounds across the board. So overall I actually really liked it. I thought it was this was a very good shoujo series. Not sure what I was expecting when I was going into it, but really glad I checked it out. I know a lot of people were really hyped when this got announced and when it finally released. So overall, I think this is a pretty interesting series across the board. Definitely give it a shot. It's pretty cool. All right, coming into our second volume. So this is the one that I was kind of like hinting at in terms of being a weird release. But this originally released in a Nihon Bungeisha's weekly Manga Goraku back in September of 2016. But this, supposedly this book was supposed to release in March of 2024, but a lot of people stated that it was released in July 2024 from what I could tell online. And I honestly didn't see it inside bookstores or even a comic book shop, which is where I bought it, until around September. But that is going to be Monkey Peak, coming in from, I almost said Avalanche Press. What are they called again? I always forget. This is really bad. Antarctic Press, that's what it is. So, yeah, this is volume 1 from Akihiro Kumeta with the art and Koji Shinosaka with the story. All right, let's talk about this cover design. It is really cool. I love the red. It helps pop out the characters. Mix is just like really dark and really creepy looking. I love that they kept the Japanese kanji / katakana / hiragana up the top. Looks really cool, as well as on the left and right. The spine is pretty decent. It's got a black with the red white. I like the red for the number. It looks really nice. In the back, yeah, it's just a creepy little picture of the monkey. And then coming into the people who worked on this, we have translation from Andrew Hall, which had parentheses phase 6, and lettering from Alfred Perez. Okay, before I talk about this anymore, I need to preface this pretty quickly about this release. This volume alone cost $25, which is really expensive for a manga, especially for a paperback manga, by the way. I don't typically get manga from this publisher, actually. I don't think I'm not too sure if this is like their first manga, but in terms of a release for this was not a very good English release. I wanted to say that before I get into the character story and art, because I feel like those are separate from how this release was dealt with in America in English. It's not great. There's a lot of moments where like the lettering has awkward spacing within the bubbles, makes it just seem kind of strange. There are times where characters have speech bubbles, but there's no words. Yeah, just overall, it just didn't feel very good, and especially when you're spending $25 for a volume, you could have bought 2.5 other volumes over just one of these. So, in my opinion, this is not worth picking up in its current state. But I will be talking about it separate from that. So, in terms of the characters, there's only one character I'm going to be talking about. His name is Saotome. He is the main character. He's this guy right here. Yeah, he's kind of like he's a team member of this pharmaceutical company, and they're out on like this camping trip. Quiet guy. He's got a really weird smile, which I've always was very strange throughout this first volume, but I kind of loved it. But he's very reliable, and he's an optimist. He's always trying to care for others, and I think that's like something that's endearing about him, especially because a lot of the other characters get introduced very quick, and we don't get a lot of time with them, but we do get a lot of time with Saotome. And yeah, I just like how he is in this series, and I'm really excited to see how his character is going to grow and or help throughout this story and see where the story is going to take us. So overall, I thought the characters are pretty solid. In terms of the story, I think the story is one of the most interesting things about this. So, like I said, this is about a pharmaceutical company. They're basically taking out their employees to this hiking / camping trip, and things start to go awry when they've reached this peak where allegedly some kind of like monkey thing is going around killing people, and lo and behold, they run into the monkey that's proceeded to start killing off some of the people within their group. So it's a race against time and against hunger and against the wilderness as these monkeys are attacking them, and they're just trying to get away from it. So yeah, overall, pretty solid pacing. It gets really intense at many moments. There's a lot of really dark moments as well. Yeah, really keeps you on your toes, and I really like how much like kind of like thriller aspects there is to it. It's more of a thriller and less of a horror series. There are definitely some horror stuff elements within it, but yeah, definitely more of a thriller. And it's very intense at very moments. Just keep in mind it is very gory, so if you don't like characters getting just completely cut up and you get to see all the guts and stuff, I would highly suggest not reading this, because yeah, it will make you a little queasy. Going into the art, I think the art is pretty solid. I think the backgrounds are fantastic. There's a lot of really, really nice backgrounds across the board. The character designs can be pretty decent as well. I do think that some of the facial expressions can be a little flat for me, at least in my opinion. It doesn't really. It's not really my favorite, but overall, I think it's a pretty cool read. Without the context of knowing that the release itself wasn't great for English. I think it's actually a really cool series, and I hope that Antarctic Press puts a little bit more work into the lettering, into the translating, and just making sure that it just looks good, because this was definitely not worth $25, and that's really unfortunate, because I feel like Shinsaka and Kumeta deserve a better release than what we got here. Okay, number 3 is going to be a series that originally released in Futabasha's Manga Action back in May of 2021, and has been in release actually in digital from Azuki, I think is what it's called, but recently got picked up for a print release, which made me so ecstatic, so happy, and that is this series by the good old-fashioned Natsumi Ito. That is My Dear Detective Mitsuko's Case Files. Yes, it is here in print from 7 Seas. Now, let's talk about this cover design super quick before I get into who worked on this. And this is just an absolutely gorgeous cover design. I love it so much. It just, there's something about it. The colors really pop. They choose this really nice, like, kind of like darker red, which if you don't know, red is one of my favorite colors. So I just, I'm a sucker for this red. And I love the framing of it. I love how the characters pop off of the frame just a little bit. I love, like, the spine looks great. The back has got that really nice red, as well as a cool trim around it as well. Overall, this is just so gorgeous, so beautiful. Now, coming into the people who worked on it, we have ourselves translation from Samuel R. Mesner, lettering from Irina Mappa, cover design from H. Chi, proofreader from Krista Grandy, production designer Rhea Lynn Johnson, and editor is Nick Mamatas. Whew, that was quite the mouthful. 7 Seas has a lot of people who work on this stuff, so it's awesome that they put all that information in the back. So I always want to give a shout out, because, you know, we wouldn't have these series in English without the help of those people, without the work that they put in. So thank you so much for all your work. Coming into our characters, we have 2, and they're going to be the 2 on the cover here. We have ourselves Hoshino Mitsuko. She is the main character. She's a go-getter detective who's extremely intelligent and observant. She can occasionally let her emotions get the best of her, but she learns from her mistakes and is able to solve some fairly complex mysteries from the first volume. I mean, honestly, she is like exactly what I want from a lead in a mystery series, because like in case you don't know, I'm a huge mystery guy. I love Agatha Christie, but I will say that Hercule Poirot can be extremely annoying. If you've ever read any of her other works, though, Miss Marple is like her other like main character, and honestly, she's great. And I think like what I expect from a mystery series is more like Miss Marple, more of like a kind, nicer soul, a little bit more eloquent in terms of their words, not really much of a jerk towards people doesn't really look down on characters. So really love Mitsuko. I think she's awesome. I think she is a great main character for this mystery series. Now, coming into the other character, we have ourselves Yoshida Saku. He's kind of like a suave and kind of a goofy kind of guy. He's a waiter when we first meet him, but he's kind of just like a big part-timer guy. So like that's like kind of like his shtick at first, is that he's just a part-timer at a variety of different jobs. He ends up becoming Mitsuko's assistant. He appears to be aiming to be a detective as well, but definitely has a lot to learn. And honestly, he's also just as observant. He's really in tune with people's emotions and feelings and stuff like that. So he's a great complement to Mitsuko, and I really like them as a pair in terms of characters. I don't know, they're really great together, and not necessarily romantically, but just platonically and as like team members, they're great. I just really enjoy their dynamic. Going into the story, like I said, the story's going to follow Hoshino Mitsuko. She is a career detective living in the 1920s, which, in case you don't know anything about any kind of history, women's rights were considered much lesser back in the 1920s. Women were meant to just be, like, basically housekeepers, meant to take care of children, meant to just give birth, basically. So for her to be a career woman during this time is considered, like, taboo, and she's kind of looked down upon, and people are always constantly telling her, oh, just go find a husband, have children, blah, 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 settle down. But she's always pushing to push her career forward. So as she's doing this, she meets our other main character, Yoshida Saku, and he gives her her first solo, I was gonna say mission, her first solo case. So, yeah, basically the story just follows them as they solve various cases throughout 1920s Japan. And I love it. I love the story so much. The mysteries are always interesting and fun. There's always like some sort of like a mystery to solve, and that's really great for the reader, especially when it's not super obvious. There are some, there was like one mystery I would say that was a little bit easier to solve, but I think that's okay. I don't think every mystery has to be ridiculously complex and having to open Pandora's box in order to solve it. So overall, I love the story. I thought the story was great. And coming into the art, if you could not tell from the cover, the art is absolutely gorgeous. Great character designs, beautiful costume designs, just wonderful costume work, really great pacing and posing, and just overall paneling as well. Fantastic art from start to finish. I am super excited to keep reading this one, and probably, definitely check this one out. Not probably, definitely go check this out. This is awesome. Okay, this final one is probably one of the most hyped releases for shoujo fans this year, mostly because it really just kind of came out of nowhere. But this series originally released in Shogakukan's Shokomi. It's the shoujo magazine from back in January 1995, and that is going to be Chie Shinohara's ultimate classic, Red River. So this is the omnibus for volumes 1 through 3. Okay, let's talk about this cover and spine really quick. This cover is beautiful. It's gorgeous. I absolutely love it. It has our main character, Yuri, on the front in her costume, which I will explain during the story. Has a really, really nice red spine as well. I love that so much. Love the back cover as well. Overall, this is a very, very solid release from Viz Media. Coming into the people who worked on it, we have ourselves an English adaptation from Lance Castleman, translation from Yuko Sawada, touch-up art and lettering from Mark McMurray, design from Izumi Evers in the original, and Yukiko Whitley in the omnibus, and then editor is Megan Bates for the original, and Joel Enos for the omnibus. I thought that was really, really flippin' cool to have that little touch to just give credit to the people who originally worked on this series. Alright, coming into our characters, we have two characters I'm going to be talking about. First off, we have Yuri Suzuki. She is a 15-year-old girl, and she is our female lead. At first, she appears to be just a damsel in distress, but as we proceed throughout the volumes, she ends up becoming very capable, and she's very smart, observant, and she tends to do things on instinct, for better or for worse. But honestly, she is an awesome main character. I love her a lot. She's really easy to root for, even though she is constantly being pulled around by all these crazy people and characters around her. Yeah, you just gotta love her spunk. You gotta love her excitement and action for everything. She's really, really cool. And coming into our second character, we have ourselves Kale Mercili. I probably should look up how to pronounce that name. He is the third prince of the Hittite Empire, and he's a beautiful and seductive person who's known for being a womanizer, which I guess, when I say seductive, I guess that should have applied, but whatever. We come to learn later he really truly cares about the people and sees nobles and non-nobles as equals. He cares more about the person themselves than about their lineage and their background and stuff like that. So, honestly, he's kind of a creep. He does some creepy stuff, but overall, I actually really like his character, and I'm kind of excited to see how his character develops as we proceed throughout this series. Coming into the story, pretty straightforward. I'm going to keep it as simple as possible because there is 3 volumes in this, so there's a lot that I could talk about, but I'm just going to talk about kind of the first part. So Yuri Suzuki, she is just having a normal day, living her high school life in Japan, flirting with her boyfriend, I'm pretty sure, when suddenly hands begin appearing out of water and try to drag her down into the puddles and stuff like that. So it happens throughout this first couple of pages, and she's just narrowly escapes every single time. But then after a snowy day, and her boyfriend's kind of what the heck's wrong with you? She's like, okay, let's go out, and lo and behold, there's a puddle from the snow, and she gets dragged into this puddle and down into it, and suddenly she appears in this totally random city, which appears to be from ancient times, and lo and behold, she's landed in the capital city of the Hittite Empire, and now she has been thrust into this crazy political theater that's going on. It is wild, it's crazy. Yeah, overall, I really love the pacing, even between the 3 volumes. Each volume leaves you on a huge cliffhanger, and it's just really, really good. I really like the story. I like how all the characters are brought up. No one feels like they're forced into the story, and everyone kind of plays a part, which is always really cool to see. And going into the art, it is very old school shoujo, so if you're not a big fan of that very old school shoujo designs, then you're not going to like it. But man, there are some really great paneling, some fantastic backgrounds, awesome character designs from just across the board. The action scenes are really, really cool. Yeah, overall, I really, really like this release, and I'm really happy to have been able to read this, because I know like the series has been out of print for a long time, and a lot of shoujo fans have been clamoring, asking, begging people, begging Viz specifically to re-release these older series. So I'm really happy to be able to get my hands on it and be able to check it out, because yeah, this was really freaking cool. And honestly, if you like action political thrillers, you really should check this out. It is super awesome. Alright, it is time for the ranking for the 4 volumes that I reviewed today. And if you could not tell by how I was describing everything, I think you might be able to figure out how I'm going to order these. But first up, it's Monkey Peak is going to be on the bottom, and I don't think I need to explain myself anymore, other than it's good, but it's not worth that $25 price. Coming up next, Otaku Vampire's Love Bite is very, very good. Just wasn't the same as these other two, just because like I just happen to really like the other two. But Red River is number 2, and My Dear Detective is my favorite read of October 2024. So yeah, have you read any of these series? Let me know in the comments below. I thought they were a lot of these were really, really fun, especially these two. They were great. Otaku Vampire also very good as well. Monkey Peak pretty solid. So some pretty great reads for October. So yeah, let me know what you think of these series in the comments below. Are you going to be picking these up after you've watched this? Let me know in the comments below as well. And yeah, thank you for watching. You're all amazing. You know what to do. You can like, you can comment, you can subscribe. Those are all awesome things. You can become a member, support me financially. You can do, there are 3 tiers currently, with the newest tier being members only videos. I'm so sorry, I haven't really been able to justify that price point since there's only 1 video for members currently, but I'm really trying to work on it. It's been very rough. After the wedding, I've just been very busy. It's been difficult to find time to do things. I mean, I'm making videos every week, so trying to make the videos that for members that I don't have is, yeah, it's a little bit difficult to push myself to do that, but we'll get to it. And then the middle tier, as always, you get the videos just a little bit early. So yeah, that's gonna be it for this one. I will see you in the next one.